It's time for the Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel Podcast.
We've got lots and lots of things to talk about and to do today. Covering the territories from the 1940s to the 1990s.
It's the best thing going today.
Interviewing wrestlers, referees, authors, and other media personalities that have made the sport of professional wrestling great.
The cream, yeah. The cream of the crop.
And now, here's your host, Tony Richards.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of the Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel podcast. And we're up to episode number 19, and I've got two fantastic guests on the show for you today. Both of them worked in the Central States area. The regional booking office there was located in Kansas City, Kansas, and Memorial Hall was the big Thursday night venue that they wrestled in every week. They also wrestled in St. Joseph, Missouri. They wrestled in Des Moines, Iowa, Waterloo, Iowa. They wrestled in Sedalia, Missouri every Tuesday night. They wrestled St. Joe every Friday night. They actually did two television tapings, one in St. Joe and one in Kansas City. And when we get into the conversation later on in the show, we'll talk about the television a little bit. My first guest is a popular guest that is back by popular demand. We got so much great feedback the first time he was on, and he's going to be on a regular basis. It's my good friend, Jerry Oates. And Jerry held the NWA Central States Heavyweight Championship, and he's about to go into a feud in the Central States area in 1975 with Ed Wiscowski. And we lost Ed not too long ago, which a lot of fans who came later to the party might know him in his AWA run as Colonel De Beers. But Ed Wiscowski grew up in St. Joseph, Missouri, and had a big impact on the second guest that I have on today's show. But before we get to that, let's get into the program today, and let's talk with Jerry Oates about Central States Wrestling, the Kansas City territory in 1975. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Personalities, Territories, Towns, and Buildings here on the Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel. I'm your host, Tony Richards, and back by popular demand, everybody's been asking when he's going to be back, and he's back tonight. Jerry Oates is from his home in Georgia. Hey, Jerry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Tony.
Man,
how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm real good, and I appreciate you coming back on the show. A lot of people have been asking when you were going to be back, so I'm glad you're back tonight. And they said that they never knew as much about the Kansas City territory as you and I went over last time when you were here.
It was something else.
It really did. It really was. I mean, it drew really pretty good money in the 60s and the 70s when you were there. I know it dried up quite a bit by the time the 80s rolled around, but there was a time where it was a good territory, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. We went up into Iowa, down into Kansas. We would go to Quincy, Illinois. So, we had some trips out there.
Yeah, you'd come to Columbia, Missouri.
Columbia, absolutely.
Jefferson City. And,
yeah.
I think I even saw Montgomery City in there, man. That's something. And then also tonight, I want to get from the end of May through the end of September on this show, if we can. And in August, you start working in St. Louis a little bit, too, as sometimes the Kansas City guys would be over there in St. Louis working for Munchnick. And so I want to talk to you about that when we get there. But back at the end of May, you're wearing two different championships. You've got the Central States Heavyweight title, which is the main heavyweight title in the Central States Kansas City territory, and you also are the World Tag Team Champions with your brother Ted. And so you guys have been working with you worked with the interns at the first part of 75, but you in April and May you've been trading the belts back and forth with Yasu Fuji and Oki Shikina. And just to go back just a little bit and talk about those two guys.
Oki and Yasu?
Yeah.
They were good. Of course, Oki wasn't as big as Yasu, and he was a little bit smaller, but we had some very, very good matches with them. I mean, very good. They hustled, and that's what it was all about.
And then you had some singles matches with them too. I mean, they would book you guys in tag team matches, but then also in singles matches every now and then. Did you prefer to work with those two guys, Yasu and Oki? Did you prefer working in the tag match or in singles matches?
It didn't matter. At the time, it did not matter. Either way, they wanted it done. We did it.
Yeah. Well, the biggest feud in the territory for the whole year was the singles feud that you had with Ed Wiscowski. And Ed Wiscowski, a lot of people may know later on in his career, and as Colonel De Beers.
Right.
But he was Ed Wiscowski. That was his real name, Ed Wiscowski, and he was from St. Joseph, Missouri. So he's here working in his home territory. And
exactly.
And you guys are feuding over the Central States title, and you're going to hold it here to the end of May, but then he's going to beat you for it. But I want to start out in May in Kansas City. Now, what's interesting here is the way Bob Geigel kind of booked this, because Geigel's the booker, correct?
Right.
He booked you and Ed together in Kansas City and in Topeka, and he booked Mike George with Ed in St. Joe and Sedalia. So, I mean, that was just kind of interesting to me that
they both were, Mike and Ed both were from St. Joe.
Right. Yeah. Both hometown boys down there.
Right. Right.
So in Kansas City, let's just walk through these matches that you had with Ed. On the 22nd of May, you have a match in Kansas City, and you and Ed are both disqualified. Then you have a match the next week in Kansas City on May 29th, and Wiscowski comes off the ropes, and he's coming off the top to come down on you, but you catch him coming off the ropes, and you roll him up, and you pin him. Do you remember much about working with Ed during this time?
Yeah. Ed and I were closer to the same, height and size. So it's funny, like my brother, he loved working with Wayne Calvin, who was later Dutch Mantell. They just clicked. They clicked together, and Ed and I, we just clicked, and it was, it was just smooth, we got along together in the ring. Didn't, never had any issues with anything the other one did or when the other one did it. We just clicked together. And, and then I found that through my whole career, some guys you just click with, and not that you have any issues with them. You just don't click. But yeah. Ed and I clicked.
And Ed, we were talking before we went on tonight. Ed could work, right? I mean, he was
he was unbelievable, smooth. For a guy his size, he could do a lot of stuff. He did a lot of Harley stuff. The head dive off the top rope. Mm-hmm. He did it he was excellent at it. And he would, he was just a pleasure. When you got in the ring with him, it was a night off because you knew it was going to flow and it was going to be good. And we both worked hard, didn't one never lay down on the other one, that'll make a stinkeroo,
I don't know how to ask this. If I worked in the ring, I'd be able to ask you, but I'll kind of go take a try at it. But Harley and Ed Wiscowski and Mike George and a lot of those guys that kind of came out of Gus Karras, who was the promoter down there. Did they all
Correct.
Did they all kind of have a style that was similar? I mean, did they all work kind of the same? Or
yeah. Now, I don't know how much input Ronnie Etchison had in training them. I think he did. I know he didn't train Harley, of course, but I think Harley being out there for so long, they might have kind of tailored their work after him a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just guessing, but Mike and I don't know how much we wrestle out there, but we wrestled quite a bit in Louisiana together against each other. And Mike was a strong boy.
You
I'm
know,
talking about strong.
yeah, he was kind of had that fire plug build.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was very strong, very strong. Fun to
That
work with.
that building there in Kansas City, Memorial Hall, I mean, there's been just a ton of legendary matches there. There's been NWA World Championship matches there. There's even been, that's where Harley won the title from Dory Funk
Right.
Jr. What was it like working there on a week? You worked there every Thursday night for a couple of years, right? While you were there?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, it was like when I worked in Atlanta at the City Auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminded me of that. I just thought about all the people that had been through there, from Milo Steinborn to Gene Stanley, if you knew who that
Yeah,
was,
you're right.
Freddie Blassie, all those guys that preceded you, you think, I'm in the same building. And it was kind of that way in Kansas City, the history of it.
Yeah, it
the
was
titles that had changed hands there. And
for the people
guys
people who don't know, and maybe you've just driven by it, but it was a big. It reminds you of an old movie theater, like a big ornate, building that was built
Right.
way back in the 30s. And it was a big concrete building, and
Yes.
It looked impressive.
It was. It was good for wrestling. There's certain buildings around the country. I know in Georgia, the Bell Auditorium in Augusta was perfect building for wrestling.
Yeah.
The building in Columbia, Missouri, you couldn't design a building better.
Yeah.
Some buildings had that atmosphere to it. It's like the people were on top of you. If they were in the balcony, it was like they were on top of you. Just the atmosphere of the whole building makes things totally different.
There was a television taping. I think you dropped the title to Ed Wiscowski on television, which was unusual for those days.
Right, exactly.
But Ed was I'm thinking Ed's a heel here, right?
Right, always, yeah.
Because you're the baby face, yeah.
Always when I worked against him out there, yeah.
But they're probably really trying to get him over here, all right?
Yeah, sure. It's business. It's business.
But I mean, I'm thinking that's probably why they put it on TV, right?
Probably.
Him beating you for the.
And then when we go around again, to different, going up into Iowa and down into Kansas, and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. This wasn't no sweat off of my back because, I beat a lot of guys on TV. So,
sure.
I mean, it's what it's about. It's about business.
Everybody gives to everybody. Then you come back around in Kansas City then for the return match, and Wiscowski wins that match by DQ because you've got blood. You've bladed and you got blood, and your vision is all impaired, and you hit the referee instead of Wiscowski. You remember that match at all?
Yeah, I do.
And then you come back the next week on the 12th in June in a match that's not for the title, but it's a chain match. And you and Wiscowski are hooked together by a chain. And you win the match by dragging him around to all four corners of the ring. And this goes like 22 minutes. I mean, this is a long, that's a long chain match, man.
I can't believe you said that. When the match, I mean, it was one of those things. It was just right at the right time. Probably could have never duplicated that match ever again. So we got back to the dressing room, and some of the guys had been in the business a while. They said, "We've never seen a chain match last that long." I said, "Well, tell me what we did wrong." Well, nothing really. We just never seen it. We weren't thinking about the time. We were thinking about what we were doing.
Yeah. Right.
And he would maybe drag me to one or two corners, or get me to three corners, and it's like you start over again. It was one of those things. It just felt right at the time, and we did it. He and I thought it was all right. They said there wasn't nothing wrong with it, so it was just long. So.
Yeah, for a gimmick match, the chain match like that, yeah.
And we held the people's attention.
Yeah,
standing up, almost to the fourth rope, and he does something, pulls me back, and then we got to start over again. We took our time with it instead of boom, 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 got a chain, hit somebody with a chain, boom, it's over and drag them around. We didn't do that. We was on top. We was on the main event.
Well, these 3 matches in June, I mean, they just logically make sense because you get all bloody, right, in the first match. You hit the referee by accident. You get disqualified. Then you come back with a chain match. Now you're hooked to the guy, right? So you ain't going to mistakenly hit anybody because you got a chain around your wrist.
And I had the chain on first, and he's not wanting to put it on. And, it was just – it was one of those things. It was, in my mind, in his eyes, when it was all said and done, we thought we did that right at the right time.
Right.
And you can tell by the people.
Yeah, they're going to tell.
Whether you're getting them or you're trying to get them, and once you get them, you don't want to lose them. You know what I mean? It's psychology.
What have you seen guys do in a situation like that where they do lose them? Like what do they do that gets a match like that off track?
Well, once it goes sideways, it's brutal to get it back. That was like, I don't know if I told you about the tag match with my brother and I against Wiscowski and Tank Patton in Wichita.
Okay. No, we haven't talked about it. Let's talk about it.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So my brother's booked in Japan. And so that's the first time he ever went. So I don't know why he went and I didn't go. I don't know how that happened. It didn't matter because I'd been 2 or 3 times already. So he goes. So we're working in Wichita. I think it was just him and Ed in a singles match. And my brother could work. He could work. So my brother could dislocate his shoulder. His shoulder blade would just be all jacked out in the back. So Wiscowski ran him into the pole, and my brother had the shoulder blade came out. He could dislocate it. So they carried him out, and then boom, he's gone to Japan. But before he left, we said he went back home, came back to Columbus to Houston Clinic, let Dr. Andrews check it.
Mm-hmm.
So I took pictures of them in the bed. These were sent from Columbus, but I took them before he went to Japan. This thing built up while he's gone. Built up. And talking about, I'm throwing this at you because of the chain match went so long.
Yeah.
So we get to Wichita, and my brother was over in Wichita. That was like his town. That place, you couldn't get another human in there.
Wow, that's at the Century 2.
Downtown.
Yeah, right.
Centralplex, I think they called it.
Century 2 Auditorium.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
You couldn't get another one in there. So all the matches are going. We know my brother's going to beat him, but we don't know how this thing's going to rock and roll. So we get out there, getting instructions. They said, let him start. I said, it's going to kill it. Because, I've been telling him, he's been sending me messages. He's getting ready. He's rehabbing his shoulder and how bad he wants Ed and blah, blah. I said, if he starts it, even with Tank, it's like, I said, I'm going to start this thing.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue how this is going to go.
Well, you want the crowd to wait for him to come in the ring, right?
Now, talk about timing, and I had them in my hands. But I'm doing it for him.
Right.
My brother. This is his town. We built this up for a month or 5 weeks. We built this for 5 weeks. Because I kept telling him when he comes back, Wiscowski, he's going to eat you alive. So he comes back. So I started. I think Tank started. Boom, boom, boom. It starts. They keep feeding one another, keep feeding them to me. Then they cut me off. And now it's like 15, 16 minutes gone. I stayed in the ring about 25 minutes. I said, whatever you do, I'm going to fight as hard as I can to get to him. I'm going to fight, I'm going to suplex you. After you done backdropped me and slammed me and covered me, I said, do not let me tag you till I tell you. And I said, man, I was fighting them both, pushing them. They won't get no false tags. That would have killed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Nothing. I'd get 3 feet from him. And they'd pull me back by my hair, by my trunks, do something else, boom, boom, boom. And they kept saying, it's getting close. I said, I'll let you know. I could hear, I had goosebumps. These people are almost at a fever pitch. Now, if I'd have stayed much longer.
Yeah.
But when the time was right, when Ed was in the ring, I told him, I said, I'm going to tag him. And when I tagged him, he reached over the rope. I tagged him, and I was draped between the bottom and the second rope holding on. And I told him, I said, go do your thing. When I tagged him, they went they were throwing babies and popcorn and drinks in there.
Yeah.
They flew all over that ring for him. I never entered it. I stayed right there.
Yeah.
That was his night, and but I could have lost it.
Yeah.
But you could hear them, and they only get so, then they go get disgusted.
Yeah.
But when I knew it was right, I guess that was the best timing in a match I ever had.
It could have been down to where if you got cut off one more time, you know.
But I said, they're not getting any higher than this. I said, I got to do it.
Yeah.
And I laid there and I tagged him, and I laid there and watched him. He was slamming them, drop kicking them, back dropping them. Boom, those people, boom, boom. He, I think, drop kicked Tank out of the ring, and he did something. They had covered him 1, 2, 3, and the pop was just
amazing.
Now I'm back to my feet, but I laid there and watched it. I said, "This is unbelievable."
Oh yeah, that's
great. I wish it had been me, but I mean, the time that made me think of that when you said that, like they said, the chain match. It was just the timing.
Yeah,
everything's timing.
Yeah,
and he and Ed had timing together. I mean, and Tank got who he was pretty dadgum good. Tank was big. He was big.
Now, Jerry, does that just come from having a lot of matches like this?
Yes,
working with a lot of different people and listening
and watching. My brother-in-law told me, he said, even before your match, and when I was starting out, but if you were matches before you watch them, and when you get done, go back out and watch them. Watch guys, the when and how and the timing, and it's just you don't learn that overnight.
Now this is in Wichita, Kansas, which was a Monday night town.
It was a Monday night town
in Kansas City. You'd work Wichita one week and Topeka the next week.
That is correct.
And so, you know, I've heard people say, Wichita, you can't do anything there. Well, that match flies in the face of that, right? I mean, have you ever been somewhere where you couldn't get them going? I mean, does that psychology pretty much work? Back in those days, would it pretty much work anywhere as long as you knew what you were doing?
That's a good question. In some towns, Topeka was hard. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
We could have had that same match in Topeka. It would have been nothing like that.
But for whatever reason, Ted was over in Wichita.
That was his town. We worked with the Martin brothers, the Cormiers in Kansas City, 1 hour. That's the best tag match I've ever been in, ever. We won an hour. We're in St. Joe the next night. We're going to do an hour. They didn't. We thought we was going to have them falling out of the bleachers there.
Yeah.
Nothing. Huh. I don't know.
What was it about Ted and Wichita? I mean, what was
I don't
it?
know. I never figured that out.
Some guys just get over in certain.
That was his town.
Yeah.
I mean, we had more tag matches there than singles, but they love my brother. I guess he's the smaller brother, but he was talented. Now I give him credit.
Sure,
he was talented.
Sure,
very talented.
So you come back in Kansas City with this return match, which makes sense because you had the first match where you were bloodied and you hit the referee. Then you had the chain match. Now you come back for the title in Kansas City, and Wiscowski wins again, right?
Right.
And then they start booking this match over in Topeka. And we just talked about Topeka was a little bit of a rough town to work in. What about you and Ed working in Topeka? What was the reaction to you guys there?
Yes, we had some good matches. It's just you feel it. No matter what you do, you're not going to get that pop that you want.
You could tell Bob Geigel as the booker, he's trying to get you going there because he's booking you in gimmick matches. So
right.
In August, he books you in a Texas death match, and then in September, he books you in a cage match in Topeka. Did you feel like you ever got it going?
Yeah, it came up. It came up. I know we was there one night. There was a bomb threat. They evacuated the building. But I stayed in the dressing room. There ain't no bomb in this building. Yeah. Who wants to kill us? I just think certain buildings have its own, like I told you, the Bell Auditorium in Augusta, Georgia, and the building in Columbia, South Carolina was just like it was made for it. Mm-hmm. The sound was all the way around. It was just like I hated wrestling in the Omni. I think
was that from all the years of working in the City Auditorium?
Probably.
And the Omni was just a big.
It was a big building. It didn't have the atmosphere as everything in a building. It is everything. The Omni had no. Not that it didn't draw.
Right.
It just wasn't that. Whatever it just seemed like the excitement wasn't there. It was just so big, I hated working in there. Had a lot of good matches in there, but just didn't like it. Now the Keel was a horse with a different color. That building, that was legendary.
Yeah.
And getting back to Kansas City, I teamed up with guys that I had heard of all my life. Eduardo Compantier. Mm-hmm. I was in a tag match with him. Of course, they came in because the next night they was going to be in St. Louis.
Right.
Red Bastine, great workers. Great workers. And
I want to ask you about a match you had on television at the St. Joseph television taping on May the 10th. This guy had only been in the business 25 days, and you had a match with Jesse Ventura on TV.
Jesse, I know Gagne didn't train him. Eddie Sharkey did, who I never met. Not saying nothing against him, but Jesse wanted to be, who? Billy Graham. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't. Because Jesse had seen him up there in Minneapolis, where Jesse's from. And, I guess that was his idol, so to speak. And he was green. He was green. But we all were green at one time, You can't tell. I'm not taking that away from him.
Sure. He had his first match on May 14th, and then you had him in a TV match on May the 10th. Is it unusual to put a guy on television that early in his career?
Well, Jesse looked pretty good then. I don't know if they figured they'd try to do something with him or not. But he left there and went to Oregon, and that's where he got his, kind of claim to fame. He was going to Hawaii and from there and back. But some guys, if you cannot be somebody you're not.
He had to find Jesse.
Exactly.
Rather than
what
Billy Graham.
What suited him, I knew I wasn't going to be a superstar Billy Graham, or that was, that wasn't my goal. I wanted to be a good worker. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be able to work with anybody, and I figured my work would get me more places than having a super body and couldn't work. Because how long can you hide that, and Billy Graham wasn't. I mean, I met the man, but he was limited.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
and if you work with the wrong guy, you get exposed.
Exactly. So, I didn't. That was never my forte. I just wanted to be as good as I could be, and possibly go to any territory I wanted to go to, or on account of my ability, not the way. I mean, I wanted to look the part, but not that part, that size and that, do what it takes to look like that.
So in June, as your feud with Wiscowski is, you're chasing him for the title now, but you're also holding the world tag belts with Ted, and you guys are coming kind of out of your program with Oki and Yasu, and coming in with Jesse and Tank Patton. You mentioned Tank earlier, but also a guy named Buddy King, and Buddy King's name was Bob Griffin. And I think this might be the only place where he worked as Buddy King. But do you remember Bob Griffin here at this time?
Not at all. And I knew him, Bob Griffin, from Georgia.
Yeah,
that's where I met him.
He's gonna, in the next year, in 76. Well, no, actually in 74. I got it backwards. In 74, he had been in Amarillo and working under a mask with a partner as the Patriots. And then they worked in Florida a little bit, and then he's working here in Kansas City under a completely different name. So he
was kind of a strange guy, just kind of strange. Yeah. Not bad worker, just it was like it was like a lot of the guys were trying to find themselves, is it with a mask or wearing a singlet or, I don't know. But I never knew what happened to him, where he went from there.
We had a lot of matches with him and Tank as a team, and then you did some singles matches with both of them. And you mentioned Tank there a few minutes ago, and Tank is in like 18 months into his career. He's early on too. So how was he at this time?
Tank wasn't bad. Tank wanted to learn. He wanted to learn. He wanted to learn bad. And he died young. I don't know what happened to him. Do you know what happened to him?
I'm thinking. I'm thinking. He passed away in 98, but I'll have to look and see if I can find out.
And then we had a run with Dutch Mantell and Ron Bass.
Yeah, that's in the fall. That's coming up after in October. So we're gonna get to that. In August, you start going to St. Louis for the first time, and I didn't mention this to you before we started recording, but on August the 8th, 1975, at the Keel Auditorium on a St. Louis card, you wrestled and beat Bobby Heenan.
I remember that match.
Do you? It goes about 10 minutes.
I remember that match. It wasn't bad. He could. That was a horrible ring. I never understood that town. That town.
It was an old boxing ring, wasn't it?
It was a 24-footer. Normally we're either now in Kansas City we wrestle in 16-foot rings. Mm-hmm. Normally anywhere between a 16 and 18 is perfect. But a 24-footer, that throws your whole timing off. So when you throw a guy, if the guy's got you in a headlock and you throw him off, you got to take some steps in. If you don't, he has to come halfway across that ring to hit you with a tackle. The timing, but I had been working long enough, I could adjust to that. Some guys, they were totally lost in that 24-footer, and it was as hard as the parking lot. It was horrible. It was a horrible ring.
And that's just like maybe 3 or 4 extra steps you're not used to taking, right?
It'll throw you off. Because we were in Kansas City, we worked in 16-foot rings. Here in Georgia, we worked in 18-foot rings. But 24?
Wow.
That's like working in a parking lot.
But yet guys had great matches there.
They had, I mean, it drew, I mean, you saw guys that you, as a kid, had read about. I met the Bruiser there.
Yeah. He's on the card a couple of times while you're there in the main event.
The Bruiser.
He's working with Harley.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this question. In this era, I know you guys worked different, right? I mean, you didn't work stuff out. You just pretty much got in the ring and had your match, right?
Yeah.
You kind of knew the finish, but other than that, you just
because
you just went impromptu, right?
Right, because just so you're not on top, and we have great matches. But just say we have a great match in Kansas City, and we come to Columbia, and we said we're kind of in our heads, both our heads, without discussing, go try to do everything we did in Kansas City. They may not buy it, but then we got to change, go a different direction. He may have to start off guzzling me or something, or you guzzling me, or every town's different.
Mm-hmm.
Every town's got a little quirk to it, I know on our Saturday night towns here in Georgia, they used to run Carrollton and Griffin on the same night, and they were pretty much weren't big towns, but they drew. Mm-hmm. Saturday night towns and smaller towns, it drew like crazy, and both of them were kind of similar. They were similar, different buildings, but similar fans, So it's every territory you went to was a little bit different, What do they go for? What do they like? They like more wrestling or more, I call it kicking and punching, which, more like Memphis or, up in there. But
Bobby's here. He's working in the AWA, managing Bockwinkel and Stevens tag team. But of course, he's been a worker before. He's a good worker, right? So you get to St. Louis that night to the Keel, and so who's the booker? Pat O'Connor.
Pat, yeah.
So Pat goes, "Hey Jerry, you're working with Bobby tonight," something like that, right?
Right.
Then what happened? Do you introduce yourself to him?
Yeah, I never met him, because heard of him. He had heard of me a little bit. I'd heard of him more, I'm sure, than he'd heard of me. And he just said, "What do you want to do?" and got finished and went in there. But he was all over the place. I mean, he would take bumps and pretty bumps, backdrops, and I gave him a turnbuckle. He goes in upside down because he had been around Ray Stevens.
Right. Yeah, I seen Ray do that.
That was Stevens' thing. Yeah. My brother worked with Ray Stevens there one night in St. Louis, and I never worked with Ray, but I worked with Nick. Different places. My brother said he'd never seen this. He gave, in that 24-foot ring, he gives Ray Stevens a turnbuckle. He goes in upside down and over the ring post onto the floor.
Oh my
brother, and that was a high ring.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a drop.
He said, "I thought he killed us." Stevens, I never worked with him though. Worked with Nick though, but not.
How much confidence do you have to do a flat back bump like that?
I don't know
that high.
I don't know.
And this was back then. You got to remember too that nothing around the ring. I mean, there was
no padding,
concrete floor, right?
No padding. But St. Louis was.
And that probably made fans in St. Louis a little antsy.
Well, I'm sure they never seen anything like that.
Because Sam he didn't allow much outside the ring.
So we were at TV on a Sunday. We did TV tapings in St. Louis on Sundays, right?
Yeah, at the Chase.
At the Chase. So the Bruiser's there.
Dick
the Bruiser.
Yeah. I just want to make sure people.
Yeah, so he was in the ring.
It wasn't Bruiser Brody.
No.
Dick the Bruiser.
So he was in the ring doing something, threw somebody out of the ring, and at the Chase, they didn't want you going outside. He bails out, boom, 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 does something to the guy, boom, 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 throws the guy back in the ring, and O'Connor sitting there. He said, "Nobody gets over like Dick." And somebody said, "Nobody can do what he does.
Yeah.
He's the only one that can get away with that."
Right.
But you can't have everybody doing it.
Oh, right.
So,
well,
who's going to say something to him?
Yeah, right. Other guys have gotten in trouble for doing that.
Well, exactly. I mean, you can't have everybody doing the same thing. I mean, I think a lot of that outside the ring crap is. I know I'd been in the business about a year and a half, and I was wrestling Bill White. Do you ever know Bill White?
Know who he is? Yeah.
We wrestle in Americus, Georgia. It's like 65 miles from my hometown on a Thursday night. We go outside the ring. We're swapping punches. He draws back to hit me, and when he come around, he hit a kid in the head. It was one of the cops that was working the match's son.
Oh, no.
You know, he drew his gun.
Oh, my gosh.
That kid started screaming like he killed him.
Mm.
I mean, he hit him. And, man, we got our butts eat out, which we should have.
Yeah.
And then when I started promoting, I tell the guy, do not go out of this ring. Not two of you. One of you can't. Don't. You open yourself up to all kinds of lawsuits.
Oh, sure.
I mean, especially this day and time, But, I mean, he nailed that kid. I mean, he nailed it. Cop drew his gun.
You worked for a whole lot of different – I mean, there was a lot of difference between the way Sam did things in St. Louis and the way Bob and those guys did them in Kansas City, and that was different than the way they did them in Georgia. I mean, how did you like St. Louis? Like, it was a very strict, I mean, he was really focused on the wrestling part.
The wrestling part, exactly.
Like, did you enjoy that, or did you?
Yeah, I mean,
or did you like Kansas City, where it was you could brawl a little more, and
to me that was like going to St. Louis was like the icing on the cake. I mean, everybody wanted to go to St. Louis. Right. I mean, the Keel, everybody wanted to go to the Keel.
Yeah.
It's like the only building I didn't go to that I wanted to go to was Madison Square Garden. I just didn't go there. But I wanted to wrestle at the Olympic Auditorium. So when I left Oregon, I told you I booked myself in L.A. and spent a week out there just to wrestle there.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was kind of.
I can't wait till we get there, and I want to talk to you about it.
And the history of the Olympic Auditorium. I mean, from all the great boxing matches and.
Gorgeous George,
George, John Tolos, Blassie, and all those guys, because I wrestled Tolos a lot in Louisiana when he came there.
Well, the another guys that you're familiar with, the Garibaldis.
The Garibaldis.
I mean, they were huge in Los Angeles.
They were big. I mean, just the history of it. I walked around in there like a kid, Mm-hmm. It was awesome. But and the Keel had a mystique to it about it, of just the history of it, and just think of all the guys that had been through there,
Well, at that point in 75, I mean, that's 27, 28 years Muchnick's been promoting there at that point. I mean, almost 30 years.
You know who Bobby Bruns was?
Oh, of course, yeah.
He was there, always there. We used to jank on him. He's a world champion.
Yeah. Well,
he's a nice guy.
He was instrumental in getting wrestling into Japan.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Bruns was?
Yeah. I had Fumi Saito on the show here the other night, and he's a Japanese wrestling historian from Tokyo. And he talked about how Ricky Dozen and Bobby Bruns were big buddies.
No kidding. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. Well, I used to talk to him. He was a nice man.
I bet he was fascinating to talk to.
He was. Very nice. Very nice.
So the next time you go to St. Louis is on August the 22nd, and you're in a 6-man, and this is interesting too. So this is a 6-man elimination match, 3 guys on each side, and the way this works is when
before you go any further, was Wilbur Snyder one of them?
That's it. Yep.
I'm gonna tell you about that.
It's Wilbur Snyder and Bob Geigel and you. And on the other side, Big Bill Miller, Ed Wiscowski, and Bobby Heenan. And in an elimination match, when a guy gets pinned, then it's 3-on-2 and 3-on, ever how it goes, right? The the what guy gets eliminated, he's out of the match until it gets down to 2 guys. So tell me about the match.
I don't know who won it.
Well, you guys did. I don't know who pinned who, but you guys beat
I know.
the other
I must have, because when they got the finish, Snyder looked at me. He was hot as a 38. Because Wilbur Snyder and the Bruiser were.
Oh yeah,
He like,
they're business partners.
Yeah, he's like, who's this guy? I guess he didn't appreciate it, but that's not my town.
Yeah. So in an elimination match, then Wilbur would have had to got pinned then, right? Because if you won the match, then you were in there. Yeah. Probably came down to you and Wiscowski, since you guys had the Kansas City program, maybe.
But he was shocked. I remember that night. So I knew when you said 6-man Snyder.
Yeah. Well, the guy I wanted to really know about, and I don't know if you wrestled him very much more other than this match or knew him, was Big Bill Miller.
Yeah. He put me over in the singles match. Nice man. You know, he's a veterinarian.
Yeah.
And I knew his brother, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Danny was in Florida when I started. And Danny, as a matter of fact, when I went to Japan the first time, he was on that tour. But you talk about a big man. He could handle himself, too.
Oh, there's a reason they call him Big Bill Miller. I mean,
yeah, he wrestled at Ohio State.
Yeah, a guy not long ago that I talked to said that he was neighbors with him after Bill had retired from wrestling. He was a cattle rancher in Oklahoma.
Bill was?
That's what this guy said, and he said he had the ranch next to him. And
really?
He always talked about the wrestling days and everything, and down at the feed store, he'd talk about it and everything. And
did you ever hear of DMSO? It's a horse liniment, and 74, 75, everybody was using it. You know,
well, my dad probably used it all the time, but I didn't.
It had a horse leg on the label.
Oh,
So I'm in St. Louis one night, and Bill came down to my dressing room. We were just shooting the bull. He saw that bottle in my bag. He said, well, he's a veterinarian. He said, what do you, I mean, this is the legit stuff, not some off the wall DMSO. Is the real stuff. He said, what are you doing with that? I said, well, I'm putting it on my knees. My knees are bothering me. You know?
Oh.
He said, but you could put it on your knees, and in 5 minutes you could taste it in your mouth. He said, you know that stuff gets all in your system? He said, you know what I want you to do with that bottle? Throw it away.
Oh, really?
And I never used it again. He told me what it had in. I think he told me it had turpentine in it. I forgot what he told me. He knew he was a vet. Of course, he used it on horses.
Well, of course, yeah. But a horse circulation system's different than a.
I would think, yeah. But he was a nice man, you know, educated, nice. He just enjoyed doing it, you know.
Well, you brought this name up, and this is back in Kansas City on the last show of August. It's August 28th, and it's a tag team match. Okie Shakina and Tank Patton against you and Red Bastine. What's Red doing here in Kansas City? It's just this one match.
He's going to be in St. Louis the next night.
Okay.
Did you know he could work?
Oh, my gosh, yeah, and I got so much respect for him, too. You don't hear about his booking, but he was a great booker.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. That was the only time I ever met him. But he was super nice.
Yeah, I mean, you and I've talked about great bookers before, Leo and Renesto and different ones, but I mean, Red was right there too.
Where was he booking?
He booked just about everywhere. He booked Texas a lot. He booked a lot for Fritz in Dallas. I think he was the booker before you got there, because when you got there, Leo was there.
Leo was the booker.
Yeah, and Red had been there for a year and a half or 2 years, and had really.
I did not know that.
He had gotten Houston up going really strong, and some of those other towns in Texas that had been a little down, but he got them up and going.
But he was a good worker, smooth as silk.
And that doesn't always translate. You know, when a guy's a really good worker, he's not always a good booker, or vice versa.
You look at athletes like great quarterbacks or great whatever, or or great baseball players, they're not such hot managers or coaches.
Did you like working in a tag with him?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was just happy-go-lucky guy.
I mean, the guy that I'm thinking is benefiting from all this is Tank Patton, man. He's been in the business 18 months, and he's in a tag match with you and Red Bastine.
Getting to work with Bastine. I mean, it was an honor for me having him as a partner.
Yeah. So in Kansas City on September the 4th, you have a match, a singles match, and all these different guys are coming in now. And there's a couple, and there's another match in St. Louis after this one we'll talk about. But in Kansas City on September the 4th, you've got a match where you beat the Baron Ron Raschke.
I cannot believe you said that. Jesse hadn't been there that long, and he'd seen Von Raschke in Minneapolis.
Right.
So he said, this is the gospel. He said, you're working on Von Raschke tonight. I said, yeah. He said, you scared of him? I said, no, I'm not scared of him. He said, he's crazy. I said, yeah, but I said, I'm not scared of him. Von Raschke was a pistol man too.
Yeah.
Brass.
Yeah. But I've always heard he was really funny. Like
he was a character. I'd never met him.
Yeah.
Till I got in the ring. He's crazy looking, cauliflower ears and his mouth. And I'm thinking,
they told me he was Jim Raschke from Nebraska.
Jim Raschke.
From Nebraska.
He's from Nebraska. He was like wrestling Wiscowski. Nothing. I mean, vicious looking guy.
Yeah.
But just he knew what he was doing.
He was a heck of an amateur at the University of Nebraska.
Oh yeah, he could handle himself. I mean, but he was a professional. Most of those pistol guys, they didn't talk that stuff. They knew they couldn't make a living doing that. You couldn't go around stretching all your opponents.
Right.
Nobody's going to use you.
Nobody's going to work with you.
And you may be able to draw money or not, but I never heard him. I never heard the guys that could really, really like him or Briscoe or Roop or any of those guys. They never talked that junk. You already knew it.
Yeah.
Or Dale Lewis. You knew it.
I'd give $20 to be able to go back in time and be there and hear Jesse right then.
I swear he said that. He said, you're not scared of him? I said, no. I have no reason to be unless I knock his teeth out or something.
The next night in St. Louis, so this is you beat Von Raschke in Kansas City on the 4th. Then on the 5th, you're back in St. Louis again at the Keel, and you're in a tag match, and your tag team partner is Pat O'Connor. And you guys beat Ox Baker and Dick Murdoch. And that match goes 20 minutes. Now, I can't believe Ox goes 20 minutes, but it's a tag match. So I imagine Dickie
Dickie probably won 18.
Yeah.
You talking about a worker?
Yeah.
Now, he and I had some matches. But Ox is going to go at his pace, which is slow. You just have to adjust yourself.
I mean, you're in there with the one. I think he's underrated as the NWA champion, Pat O'Connor.
The first night in Kansas City, I went 30 minutes with Pat. My first night in Kansas City. I never wrestled him. I'd seen him when he came through Florida. He wasn't a champion then. This was like in '69, and I saw him. I think, damn, this guy was a world champion. I had a headlock probably for 20 minutes on him in a 30-minute match. He wore me out, and I had the headlock on him.
Wow.
He was a tough son of a gun.
I mean, it's 15 years after he was the world champion.
I know.
I mean, was he still go?
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. Pat didn't work a lot. He'd work. I didn't see him 10 times in Kansas City work. But he'd work some in St. Louis,
I always heard that Sam had him on a pretty short leash. And he was booking there in St. Louis for Sam. I mean, what'd you think about him as a booker?
Well, other than knowing, he never really had any say-so in Kansas City. So I really can't comment on that.
Yeah,
other than what he did.
But he gave you your stuff in St. Louis, right?
Absolutely. So I don't know, like you said, I don't know how far Sam would let him go.
I don't think very far.
You know, I always kind of believe that. I thought there was a hidden something that maybe Sam said, I want this, this, and this. And then that, of course, Sam never come around and said nothing to anybody about what the matches were. That was Pat's. So I don't know how much real, between you and I and whoever's listening, how much actual input he had into that book. You know,
I mean, you can bet that whatever Dick the Bruiser did in St. Louis was nothing compared to what he did in Indianapolis, because in St. Louis, there just wasn't a lot of that tolerated.
Absolutely not.
Dick Bruiser, the Bruiser, got in trouble a few times in St. Louis too.
And you know, I'm sure they took care of him too. So he didn't want to lose that gig. I'm sure they took very good care of him there, because people eat him up, you know.
So then we got two matches here in September. Just, I mean, 1 week right after, well, just a couple of days within each other. On September 11th in Kansas City at Memorial Hall, it's the international heavyweight champion Terry Funk and Jerry Oates going to a no contest. So Terry's got the international title here, and he just won it like a couple weeks before in Amarillo. That was Cyclone Negro before. He beat Cyclone.
That is correct.
He beat Cyclone Negro for that title. So do you remember that match at all in Kansas City?
Yes. Then we come back again.
Mm-hmm.
For the belt. The winner of that match is going to meet
Jack Briscoe.
Jack Briscoe, because I'd already wrestled Briscoe in I wrestled him, Briscoe, in St. Joe and Des Moines while we were out there. The winner of that match between Funk and I for that international title, the winner of that match is going to wrestle Jack Briscoe for the world title next week.
In Wichita. And Kansas City.
Yes. So I beat Funk.
Yes.
And the next Thursday night, Terry Funk comes in with that belt. He's the world champion.
You had a match with Briscoe the next week in a 2 out of 3 falls match, and you guys win an hour. You and Briscoe.
Where?
In Wichita. On September the 15th, Jerry Oates and Jack Briscoe, 1 hour time limit draw, 2 out of 3 falls for the NWA world title.
I wrestled him 1 hour in St. Joe the first time I ever wrestled him. And the second time I wrestled him was in Des Moines. And that would have been the third time I wrestled him. I enjoyed wrestling him.
I was going to ask, like, what? Tell me a little bit about working with Jack.
He was the world champion, right? You didn't open your mouth. I tried it. The first time I worked with him, he said no. And I said another word.
Was it?
He's
easy?
the only.
Was it easy?
He's the only world champion I worked with that ever said that. I don't know if he did it to everybody else, but I never said another word anytime I worked with him. Whatever you want.
I just imagine. I mean, I don't know, of course, but just speculating and thinking. I mean, with that schedule, don't you think you probably go on autopilot after a while and just kind of, you know, you want to be the one to call the match just to. I don't
and he's
know.
a champion. And he's a champion.
Right. Who called the match?
I can understand that. There's some things he might not want to do. I thought about that title. You know, I told you I was approached about it one time.
Yeah, we talked about that.
It never came to pass. That's neither here or there. But I've looked back if you just had it for 6 months, what that would be like.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
Yeah,
traveling.
I mean, you could be in San Francisco tonight and be in Miami the next night with that belt. I mean,
yeah. Terry Funk said he fell asleep on the on the shuttle, going from plane to plane.
I'm
Like
sure that ain't
and
no joke.
and
You had to
woke
make your own.
and
You had to make your.
he woke up and he'd missed his plane flight because
You got to make your own travel arrangements, and I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
And wrestling with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, I can understand you calling this is all I'm gonna do tonight.
Yeah.
Because those guys did a lot of hours.
That's what I was trying to say. Is I would imagine after a while you just want to do your thing.
The first time I ever met Harley was when we ran the Omni here in Georgia the first time. That's the first time I'd ever met. He just won it. I said, "What's it like having that belt?" He said, "Daddy, I've had it 9 days and I've gone 9 straight hours."
Wow.
That was just him. Like I was going to be there for that time, the middleman, for a couple of months, and
Yeah. But the thing is, Jerry, is you have no control over your schedule now. That you have to make the schedule you're given. And like and I know you did this before. I don't know exactly how you handled it, but you and Ted went to Japan. You guys won the tag belts, right?
Right.
You probably scheduled in a little time in between coming back from Japan to give yourself a little bit with the jet lag. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that if you're the champion.
No,
like you got to be at the next place.
You
know?
think about that, because you go to Japan here in Georgia, that's 13-hour time difference.
And he's
13
going
hours.
And the champion back then, they're going there. They're going to Australia. They're going to New Zealand. They're
Exactly.
They're going to Mexico City.
Mexico, everywhere.
They're going to Calgary.
And just think about here, from coast to coast, 3 hours difference.
So, who called the match with you and Terry Funk?
Whoever come up with the next idea.
Yeah,
Terry did.
You guys worked together.
Terry did. First time I worked with Dory, worked with him in Japan. Been in the business exactly 20 years. I think I told you this. I was in awe of it, because he traveled with the Japanese guys. Him and Terry, when they were over there. And I said, God, I'm going to wrestle Terry Funk. Dory Funk. That was my epitome of a world champion, his work. He did nothing that was wasted. He did nothing that wasn't solid. He did nothing through very few fists. So I got in the ring with him, didn't open my mouth. I had that much respect for who he was. And I saw him in the hall the next night. I said, it's the first time I worked with you, Dory. I said, I've been in business 20 years. He said, I knew we'd never worked before. I said, if I ever work with you again, I said, while we're here, can I call anything? He said, call anything you want.
Oh, wow. That's great.
But he's not the world champion anymore. But
yeah,
can you imagine the hours he did?
No. For 3.5 years.
He was a master. Have you ever pulled up those matches of him and Briscoe?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's classic stuff. That's where Jack really learned to work, because before Jack got that belt, he was going all over the country working with Junior. That's where I think, of course, he was a natural wrestler anyhow, but that pro stuff, him and Dory did together.
Oh yeah, they did 3.5 years with Dory as the champion. Then they did 2.5 years with Jack as the champion for almost 6 years. That was the match, And I've said this before. It was almost unfair in a way for Terry to get it after that, because for almost 6.5 years, that match was the match. And now all of a sudden you've got to come up to that standard, and almost nobody could match that standard.
And it never was, in my opinion. And I had a lot of matches with Terry, but
yeah, he was a different kind of work.
He'd clown. He'd do some clown stuff. Yeah. And that rope rocking back and forth, which I don't think that's what a world champion should be.
So then back to St. Louis on September 19th. I got two more matches to ask you about. September the 19th, your tag team partners this time with Rocky Johnson. And you guys are in a tag team match with two guys I mean, you talked about Madison Square Garden earlier. These guys, for the previous 2 years, have been the tag team in Madison Square Garden in New York. You're against the Valiant brothers.
I wrestled them here in Georgia.
Do you remember that match? You and Rocky Johnson against the Valiants?
Rocky, listen to this.
You guys went over.
Listen to this. Rocky flew in from Tampa. He gets to the Keel. He said, my bag wasn't on the plane.
Oh,
I
no.
said, Rocky, how long you been in the business? I've been in business 4 or 5 years. I said, how long you been in the business? Whatever, 10, 12, whatever. I said, you're coming from Tampa to the Keel here in St. Louis. I said, I've never flown anywhere, which I had, without carrying my wrestling gear on the plane with me. He had no boots. He had no trunks. He had to borrow boots and trunks. I said, I hope that taught you a lesson. Where his bag was, who knows?
Yeah.
That's the first time I ever met him. And I said, Rocky, how long you been in the business?
Goodness
you don't check your wrestling gear. That's your tools.
You talking about different kind of guys work different styles or whatever. I mean, the Valiant brothers.
That was totally another story.
That wasn't a wrestling match, right?
No. You know, I never understood what care, not speaking of being jealous or anything, the care they took of Jimmy. He was the quietest guy in the dressing room. Never say a word. But he'd get out there and clap those hands, and the work was horrible.
Yeah.
They took care of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all of his matches, it didn't matter if he was face or heel. They were the same.
Exactly. Dancing around.
Doing to the throat.
You saw it. And they took care of it. They used him good in the Carolinas. Everywhere.
But, you know, Jimmy Valiant probably is over today. He could probably go out in a high school gym somewhere.
Just quit working. He's like 80 in his mid 80s, isn't he?
Yeah.
He just quit working, I heard.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy, though. Very nice guy.
Yeah. So so this must be the time too where Ted's gone. Did you say he was in Japan when you did the shoulder injury?
Yeah.
To take him out, because you're teamed up with Akio Sato a couple of times, and just different partners. While I guess you're waiting for him to get back. But you're with Jesse Ventura again in Kansas City. I mean, they keep putting you and Jesse together, I guess, because they know you can take care of him.
Yeah, you know, because I've been working longer than him. But the only way you go get any better is getting in the ring with people better than you are. I mean, when you're coming up, that's the only way and listening.
Right.
But some people get it and some don't, regardless.
And I think you told me before that Tank Patton, and even though they were heels, Tank Patton and Jesse rode with you guys, right?
They what?
They rode with you guys to town to town.
Yeah. Not all the time, but a lot of Tank would. Yeah, with Jesse too. We sneak in and out, and
sure.
But my brother had this huge, beautiful van, and
and they can't see,
Nah, in the windows he had a mirror that was gorgeous. They just Tank would call the house and say, "What time's the Silver Streak leaving?"
Man, I tell you what, Jerry. I mean, that's some real big, legendary names that you worked with in those 3 months.
Yeah, I look back at it, and
I mean, that middle part of 75 there. I mean, just think about all the guys you worked with there.
I know it was. When you're doing it at the time, but I look back at my career, I wrestled Luthez. Russell Luthez on Atlanta TV, and I was horrified. I'd only been in the business less than a year, and I'm wrestling Luthez. You know, I mean, and I knew who he was when it was over. I mean, he don't play out there. He didn't. He was a tough son of a gun. You know, and then I wrestled O'Connor. Just a lot of the guys had been world champion, you know, and just look back and say, my gosh, you know, I've been blessed. I've been more than blessed, and have met you. You know, you're such a knowledgeable person at this, and you're a great interviewer and a great host.
Man, I wouldn't take anything for our relationship.
It's I don't know if a lot of guys feel the way I do. To me, it's an honor for you wanting me to be on your show.
Yeah.
Of all the people you've had, I mean, it's an honor to me, and I want you to know that.
You know, I appreciate that,
and I mean that.
I appreciate you taking the time to do it. I'm fascinated. I love to hear about, you know, these days, and I love to hear about your career and your matches and all these different people you've worked with and everything. It's just fabulous. I appreciate you taking the time. You could be doing anything else besides talking to me, but I appreciate.
I'd rather be doing this than anything. It's not an ego thing. It's just to maybe pass on what I did to somebody else that's listening, and maybe saw me somewhere.
Oh, I guarantee you, people are. We got great feedback from our last one, and we're going to have great feedback from this one.
Well, I hope so, because you know, a lot of times guys think they're bigger than the business, right? You know, the business can't do without me. But I always took time to sign any autograph anybody asked me for, because every now and then somebody might ask me this far and few between now. But without the wrestling fans, we were nothing.
That's right.
We were nothing.
And without our listeners, we're nothing on this show.
The same here, you know. And I hope I try to be. I'm as truthful as I can be. There's never been any BS in any of my stories. Because anybody can go look anything up I say, and I just hope that they appreciate that. I mean, I don't come on here and say, you know, I was the greatest thing ever. Put on a pair of trunks and tights. I wasn't, but I tried to do my part. I tried to carry my weight, and I think I did. You know,
you did, man. Well, I appreciate you. I can't wait for you to come back, because when you come back, we're going to get into October, November, December, and that's when we're going to get the Outlaws, Dutch Mantell and Bass, going to be coming in. So I can't wait.
Sounds great.
I can't wait to talk about that. You and Ted against the Texas Outlaws. So we'll
do it.
We'll get that next time. All right, Jerry. Thank you so much, man.
Right. Good night. Thanks to all the fans.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jerry Oates as much as I enjoyed having it with him. I love Jerry. We talk a lot, several times a week, a lot of times, and he's just got so many wonderful and fantastic stories. I can't wait to share them all with you, as Jerry is a regular contributor here on the podcast. Well, as you can see, if you're watching the podcast this week, I'm here at the Richards Ranch. I'm in the middle of this transition. I'd lived in Missouri for 32 years, 33 years. I can't even remember, it was so long. I actually passed the amount of time that I lived in Kentucky. I grew up in Kentucky, and I lived there for the first 30 years of my life. Then I moved to Missouri, and I lived there for 33 years, 32 years, 30, somewhere around in there. But anyway, I've been transitioning and moving back to Kentucky. I bought a little piece of property that is adjacent to my mom's place and the horse ranch that I grew up on. And so my mom is getting a little bit up in years, and I want to try to make sure she can live in her house for the rest of her life. So I bought a little ranch next door to hers. We're here at the Richards Ranch, and you can see I've taken this old house that I think was built in 1953. I think I saw in the property papers when I bought the place. And I've been remodeling it all year long this year, and we're still in a stage. You can actually see a little bit behind me if you're watching this week. You can see my podcast studio is being built back there, that I'll be working in my office, my wrestling room, podcast studio, all that great stuff. So I'm actually sitting in the kitchen right now in a makeshift place where I can do the podcast. But so I appreciate you watching and listening and being a part of our show every single week. I always get great comments and feedback from everybody. You just send me the most wonderful notes about our program, and I really do appreciate that. And I appreciate you hanging with me during this transition that I'm going through right now. I tell you, trying to keep up with my regular business and doing the time tunnel and writing the books and writing the posts and all that. I mean, it's a lot, but I'm having the time of my life. I really am, and I really appreciate your notes, your supports, your subscriptions to the Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel on Substack. Tony Richards 4 at Substack.com. When you subscribe to my daily Chronicle history newsletter and you subscribe and become a premium subscriber for just $5 a month or $50 a year, you help support the pro wrestling research that I do. And don't let anybody fool you. We do put a little bit of money into doing all this digging and research and all of this work to uncover and document the history of pro wrestling. And every time you become a subscriber, you help support that, not only financially, which we pour it back into more tools and more research information stuff so that we can do this work. But not only that, but it encourages me psychologically to keep going and keep doing what we're doing. And you obviously like what we're doing. And we're doing a lot here at the Time Tunnel. So thank you so much for it. Let's get into the second half of our show now. And I've got the second guest. He's been in the Central States Territory a lot. He was also in the Florida Territory. He was also in Mid-South for Bill Watts. And that's Mike George, who grew up in St. Joseph, Missouri. And we're going to talk to him about the first half of his career in 1975. Mike's got some great stories to share, and it's just a fantastic visit. I'm so glad you're going to be able to be a part of the conversation. And let's go to that right now. My talk with Mike George. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Personalities, Territories, Towns, and Buildings. I'm Tony Richards, and tonight I'm joined by one of the guys from Missouri. He is a legend from the St. Joseph area. Worked in Florida. He worked in Mid-South. He worked there for Watts. He worked in Kansas City Territory is kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. But joining me from his home is Mike George. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man?
Oh, doing fine. Doing fine.
I appreciate you making time for to come on and talk to me about your career.
That's okay with me.
You and I have been joking back and forth about how you got to remember 50 years ago, and you've been hitting the head a time or two.
Oh, just a few.
How'd you
hit that wall a couple times? You know.
You bet. Hey man, I really appreciate it. How'd you get in the wrestling business?
The St. Joe paper had an article come out saying Ed Wiscowski was going to get into wrestling. I said, well, shit, I went to school with him. I know I can. Yeah, well, I said I went and talked to Gus Karras then. Mm-hmm. And Gus talked to me, and he says, well, I said, Ed. And then he said, well, Ed got in a bad car accident, and that he may never walk again. He took out his spleen, and one leg was broke and stuff. And I got a hold of Ed, and I talked to him, and I said, Ed, you want to start working out with me? And he said, yeah, okay. So him and me used to go up there, and we'd work out at the old auditorium in St. Joe, and I got him back working out, lifting weights and everything else. I was glad to see him. He was walking without a cane and everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was laid up for a long time.
Oh yeah, he came out of it though. He came out of it.
What's the deal in Missouri with car accidents? Man, I mean.
Oh, I don't know. It'll happen. Seems like they happen all over. Well, yeah, with
Harley was in a bad one. Orville Brown was in one that ended his career, almost ended Harley's life.
Yeah, we all drive too fast.
Yeah, there's legendary stories about Harley's driving.
Oh God, I've been with him on one of those trips from St. Joe to Waterloo, Iowa. It was quite an experience. on the wrong side of the road, you might say, passing them.
Yeah. By the time this comes out and comes on the air, I will have been to Waterloo, Iowa. But tell me about that. Can you remember about one of those trips to Waterloo?
Oh, it's just long. We'd go that night after TV in St. Joe. It was about 10 o'clock, and then from there we'd leave from there and sometimes drive all the way up to Waterloo and, try to rest and everything else. Most of the time it was riding with Ronnie Etch and me made the trip a lot.
Yeah.
He's an old timer. Yeah. Too bad. He was a nice guy too.
Well, as we
eat cigars and drink his beer and eat his tater chips.
Well, man, breakfast of champions.
Oh yeah, back then it was.
Well, as 74 is coming down, the last 3 months of 74 and the first part of 75, you're tag team partners with a guest that I have on here very frequently, and it's a good friend of mine, Jerry Oates. You remember tagging up with Jerry?
Oh, many times, yeah.
How'd you meet Jerry?
First time was in 72 down in, I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and that's when I started. And he was there, and he was a young whippersnapper, but he had been in the business for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got to work with him there, but he just kind of told me one time, he said, I think you ought to quit. I think he was probably right, but I said, no, I'm going to try.
Yeah. So he advised you to get out, huh?
Yeah, he says, I think you got to get out. He said, yeah. I was really rough. I shouldn't even been on the road. But then I told Gus I knew what I was doing. No, I didn't know what I was doing. It was a learning experience. Then when I went to Florida, things changed. Things changed for my good.
Yeah. So you started hooking up there with Louis Tillett, right?
Yeah, he was the booker down there, yeah. And I made trips with Mike and all that down there too. Mike Graham. Yeah, I had a good time down there.
Yeah.
That was the first start, yeah.
So you guys are in the biggest feud of 74 and the first part of 75. You're with a couple of masked guys that are they're in the top masked tag teams for sure, but some of the best tag teams of all time. The Interns with Dr. Ken Ramey. What do you remember about that?
Oh, I remember one time in Kansas City, we had a match and they cut my hair, and the next week I couldn't get back with the match with them, but they put Ramey in a cage on the stage up there in Kansas City, and their match was going on. He's in that cage. I knocked the cage over. I was doing high pulls with that cage and him in it.
Oh man.
He was scared half to death, which, he didn't think I was that strong, but I was whipping him up doing high pulls.
Goodness
Bouncing
gracious.
him off the floor. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What was Dr. Ramey like away from the matches?
Oh, he was a nice guy. Very, very knowledgeable. He helped me out, too, though, just different times later on in my life, too, though, down in Louisiana, too. He was a nice guy. He was always, he got out of the business, so later on, but yeah, I still saw him down there in Shreveport and everything else.
He doesn't get the credit that I think he should get as one of the best managers of all time. What do you think?
He had a lot of heat. People hated him with passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he do to get heat so much?
Just being Ken Ramey. Just the way he looked. He just like a rat, almost like, that type of but he was well groomed and everything else, but the people just despised him.
He just had one of those things.
Lucky man.
Yeah. Just one of those things that affected crowds.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what you want.
Do you remember one of the worst nights where the crowd got a little bit out of hand with him stirring them up?
Oh, probably the night they cut my hair down there.
Yeah. What town was that? What town was that in? Do you
I was
remember?
in Kansas City, down here in Kansas City, Kansas, at Memorial Hall.
Yeah.
That's not far from where I work at right now, too.
Well,
it was a fun experience.
You had a lot of matches in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot of times they put me up there when I first started. I'd have a match in there with Omar Atlas or somebody like that. You know, just we had a babyface match. We had great matches though, and just boom, boom, boom. He was a good amateur, excellent amateur, and it was fun to work with.
You guys had some 6-man matches in January and February with the interns, and you guys had 2 different partners. One was Haystacks Calhoun. You remember Big Haystacks?
No, I don't remember that one. Shame on me.
Yeah.
You think I ought to, but I don't remember it.
Well, the other guy that was in there with you in a 6-man was Rufus R. Jones.
Oh, yeah. Rufus, he was a character. He was, I think, Dusty Rhodes copied his gimmick.
I think Rufus is still over in Missouri.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was spent a lot of time here, but they loved to come and watch him. I was loved to come and watch him.
Yeah, you tagged up with Haystacks quite a few times.
I might have down there in probably Sedalia, probably.
Yeah, Cedar Rapids, St. Joseph one time. Let's see, Des Moines. There was a couple times.
Yeah. Jerry and me were a lot of times in Des Moines. It's kind of sad they put me in. They did Jerry's brother, you know, Ted. He was just as good as Jerry, but they just didn't use him as much.
Yeah, that Jerry told me that on a show not long ago that Ted was not very happy when he got there. He found out he wasn't going to be tag team partners with Jerry.
Yeah,
and he said he had to have a talk with him.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy about that. I could tell he didn't like me that well because of that, probably.
Yeah.
But that was not my deal. I was happy to have anybody.
Yeah. Well, they put you guys over as the champions, you know, so they were working the program with the interns. There wasn't really any reason to change it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The other thing here in February, there's a young guy. It might have been his first time in the business. He might have been a rookie here. I know it's around this time. Is Bobby Jaggers?
Oh God, man that could talk. You didn't know if it was all true or not, but he sure could talk.
Yeah. I think Harley brought him in the business, I think.
Was it? I didn't know who did, but he was a heck of a talker, and him and Jerry Brown were quite a pair together too, though. Well, yeah. Jerry was with quite a few people down there, though. But yeah, and Jerry and me, we are Oates and me. We worked down in Louisiana too, or Oklahoma City. Yeah. That way, and Tulsa and that down there too. We teamed up again.
You got some singles matches for the Central States title in February and in early March with a guy who has been in the Kansas City territory for years, Bulldog Bob Brown.
Oh God, yeah, I wrestled him more than I could even think. It just
what was it like to be in the ring with the Bulldog?
Oh, it wasn't bad till he did flying mirror on you. He would sit you right up and kick you in that back so hard you felt like your teeth were going to fall out. Of course, I'd get him back in there when I'd make him in the corner right there, and then I'd catch him with those forearms. He'd go, oh, no. I enjoyed that so much. You'd slam him, he'd bounce right up he'd bounce practically up to his feet almost after you slammed him. Oh, yeah, but he could take a heck of a bump. His body was built for that.
Yeah.
I had a lot of matches with him in St. Joe and all over the place. So, but yeah, I had him when I turned to a heel and he was the baby face. I had a couple times with him. The fans got more behind him than they were trying to protect him.
Yeah, he was there a long time.
Oh, a long time. Yeah, he was over. He'd spit on the people and Geigel would chew him out. And he said, I didn't do that.
St. Joseph is a legendary town for wrestling. It probably doesn't get the credit, not like a St. Louis or a Kansas City, but I mean, St. Joseph has got a long, long history of wrestling. What was it like in St. Joe back then?
Oh, Gus had his own little office there, downtown St. Joe, and they'd people come by and see him and talk to him and everything else. He'd be glad to talk to him. He'd sit him down and talk to him for long times. He was a nice guy. He'd sit there and talk to you and come up with all kinds of different deals. He'd have his pipe. He'd be smoking that pipe, or not really smoking, but just chewing on it, you might say. And sometimes you had to listen real close because the Greek accent on him. But yeah, he was a nice old man. I enjoyed him. I really did, and I hated to see him go.
Do you remember much about your conversations with him, like what you'd talk about, or?
Oh, he asked me, "Do you think you're ready to to go on the road?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure." Well, I wasn't even close, you know. But that's when he sent me to Atlanta, and then I remember I was down there with in Florida at the time, and I got a call from him. He wanted to know if I would want to come back up into Kansas City again, and that's when Harley was doing the book, and Harley got the title and all that. I said, "Yeah, I'll come back up." I packed I had a van then. I had my Datsun Z, and I towed my Datsun Z and the family all the way back up we left Tampa, but I left that night. I'd been in Miami, come back up. We picked everything up, got it in the van. We drove all the way up from doing 80 degrees up to snowstorm, going through St. Louis back. I said, "What did I do? Why did I go back?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was glad. He was glad to see me come back.
He was the promoter in Iowa too, right? Was he the promoter in Kansas City, or
he'd go there for the deals, but Geigel was most of it. Geigel and Pat and Harley.
But Pat O'Connor.
And Geigel always. Gus was always there he'd go in Thursdays and into the office down there, sitting there and talk with Geigel and him. They'd come up with things, you know. Yeah, they always did. Every Thursday it was a religious deal to do that.
Could you tell what kind of relationship that they all had with Munchnick in St. Louis?
That I don't know, because if you were a Gus boy, you didn't make St. Louis very often. You made it a couple times, but I think they were glad to get him gone and get into it. And when they bought him out and stuff, it was like, you know, Harley and Pat. Pat loved the TV. He loved to be in charge of that TV down there. And he did all the finishes basically in St. Louis. He'd tell you what's going on. This is who you're working with and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was.
Did you work St. Louis very much?
Oh, a few times. Yeah. We had tag matches. We had to deal with, one time it was Jerry, Sato, and myself, and we were in a 6-man tag against the boys, the Texas boys.
Oh, the Funks?
The Von Erichs.
Oh, the Von Erichs.
We had all three of them in there. And one of them at one time is the one without the boots, the one that wore no shoes.
Yeah, Kevin.
He did something. Kevin, he did something. He went up in the air, and for an elbow drop, and all of a sudden he smashed right into poor Sato's face. We got back dressed and wondered what happened. He said the wind blew. I swear to God, that's what he said. Oh, did Jerry tell you about his deal with the one match he had with Moose Morawski?
No, he didn't.
Oh my! You got to get him on that one. He told me about it. I didn't get to see it, but it was a classic.
I'm gonna write
big horns and all that good shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna ask about it.
Oh yeah, ask him about it. That's a good one.
Didn't you tell me the other day when we were just talking that you see Akio Sato quite a bit?
Yes, I do. Here comes
how's
up.
he?
Betty's just doing not real well, but she's okay. She doesn't want to go anyplace, and he kind of takes good care of her. And they got two beautiful girls.
For
One's
those
a
of you,
doctor.
for those of you who may not realize, Keel Sato is married to Betty Nicolai.
Yeah.
And Betty Nicolai was a long time female wrestler all over the country. She worked quite a bit, was the Central States Women's Champion, and a pretty good wrestler, huh?
Oh, yes, she was. She was a stout old lady. She wasn't that old, but she was a good-looking lady.
Yeah, she worked with Gene Antone a lot.
Oh, a whole bunch, yeah. Whole bunch. They'd bring a few different ones in every once in a while.
So your intern program is kind of running its course, and they're pairing you up with another tag team, Yasu Fuji and Oki Shikina.
Oh God, yeah. They were pretty good. But I guess I got carried away one time down in it was today, and we were in a tag match, and somehow I went in there and I nailed him right in the eye, or he did something. All of a sudden, before I knew it, before I got turned around in the corner, I had a black eye.
Oh no!
Payback was hell. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Jerry said that every now and then Oki would get a little lazy with you in the ring.
Oh yeah, but that's normal.
Yeah.
But they were something else to be with though. Something else. There was another one there too. I can't remember. Got it in a while.
we might come across it, but another tag team is a brother tag team from Canada, the Cormier Brothers, Tommy and Terry Martin.
Yeah, they were here when I just started. I used to go up there and I'd watch them too. They were good tag team partners up there. And they were just about the time I started, they had left. So I didn't get a chance to meet them at all, really. They were on their way out. They had a couple different ones that left. Yeah.
Then in April, you took a tour of Japan to work for Giant Baba.
Yeah, that was good. That was my first one, I think.
The first night you worked with Dick Beyer, the Destroyer.
Oh, that was outside show. Yeah. I was afraid of getting stretched out there a little bit. I heard stories about him, but no, I had a great match with him though. I put him over.
Yeah. Well, he was a legend there in all Japan.
Yeah, he was. He could wrestle. There's no doubt about that. I was glad to see that. They'd put me with all kinds of different people up there. I'd wrestle them. There's no doubt about that. I had a little bit of knowledge.
They put you in a tag team match, and your partner was Mark Lewin. And you guys had a match with Dick Beyer and Samson Kutsuwada.
I don't remember that one. I remember one with. I'm thinking about this. One of them, I was a tag partner with.
Gene Kaniski.
That and Killer. What? No, my mind's going right now. There was the champion up there in New York all over.
You were partners with Killer Kowalski and Dick the Bruiser.
Yeah, there was another one too. Dick, he loved his beer too. No, there was another one. What was the champion up there in New York? Everybody.
Oh, Hulk Hogan?
No, before him, the one
Bob
everybody.
Backlund?
No, I'm talking about older guys.
Superstar Billy Graham? Bruno Sammartino?
No, I'm going way back. I'm going back farther than that.
Bruno Sammartino.
Yes, I was tagged with him in there one time. They put me in different deals. I enjoyed it. We had a good time. He was very impressive. He's a strong guy. I remember him later on in time. He was over there, and he had a broken finger, and he was still benching 400 back then.
You were in a couple of tag team matches with Kaniski, and you guys were in there with a young guy. I think it was his rookie year, Jumbo Saruta.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked working with those guys. You better be in shape or they're going to eat your lunch. Let's put it that way. I think it's still that way over there, which is good. People over there, I didn't understand why they applauded. You know, you wanted them to holler and scream, but they didn't. They applauded if they were happy. You know,
right.
It was like the first time that happened. I said, "What's going off? It's not right."
And you were American, so you were automatically a heel.
Yeah. Oh, they treated me like I wasn't though. They were happy. They liked me over there.
Yeah,
they really did. Though. I mean, I had one guy after a match. I come out and he was taking care of the building. He was their not supervisor, but the maintenance guy. He took me back there where he stayed at, and he gave me a drink of sake with him. I talked with him and everything else. Real nice guy. He was real happy. Nice to meet you and everything else. I remember him real well. That was my first tour over there too.
What was it like with Kaniski?
He was different. Yeah, he was.
He's pretty rugged, huh?
Gene, we called him Dad. Mm. There was Bob Orton Jr. and I think it was Steve Kern was there at the same time.
Yeah, those guys were in the first or second year of their career too.
Yeah, well, all of us were right there. Yeah, that was an experience. So there was a bunch of young guys. We just kind of sit and watch and learn.
Yeah,
that was the thing to do. Yeah, you didn't talk back to them. They were like they were the superstars basically back then. To my book, they still are.
Yeah, I see your match with where your tag team partners. I see that match with Bruno now. You guys it was on May the 7th, and you were against Giant Baba and Samson Kutsawada, you and Bruno.
Oh, God, you got the list.
I do.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the match. What was it? Gene. Was it Gene Kaniski? Yeah, he used to take and throw people in the rope or do something. He'd slide down. And I asked him afterwards, why are you doing that? He said, I'm just following through. I just still didn't understand that one.
Yeah, that tag match where you were partners with Bruno, that was like I think it was the next to last match on the tour. You had two more days after that, but it was close to the end.
Yeah, I remember being there with him. I don't remember much about the match, but I remember he was impressive.
That was the champion. Then. That was the third. That was the third annual Champions Carnival tournament.
Is that what it was? I wish I'd kept more of the stuff about it. I wish I would.
Yeah, well, anytime you want something, man, just let me know. I'll get it to you.
I appreciate it.
You come back and you get back in matches with the interns again. This time, though, you've got Bob Geigel. You teamed up with Bob Geigel a time or two. What was it? Jerry talks in glowing terms. I mean, he really, really loves Bob Geigel. What do you think about him?
Oh, Bob was a hell of an amateur. I enjoyed Bob. I'll tell you a story about him later on. When we were working out there at the Woodlands, the dog track and horse track,
yeah,
a guy came up to him. Geigel was maybe about 80 years old then, and the guy's poking him in the chest. And Geigel says, "Don't do that," and trying to hold a conversation and be halfway normal with him. Well, the guy kept doing it. Geigel headlocked him, took him over in a big flying headlock all the way to the ground. To the guy. Told you not to do that. Geigel had some good stuff. I mean, he was a very impressive man for his age. Still had abs on him and everything else. He was something else. He really strong. My God, he had a grip on him. It was unreal. He was impressive.
He got toughened up there in Texas. He was out there in Amarillo and West Texas in the 50s and the early 60s before he came back to Kansas City, and that was a tough territory to work.
You better be in shape or they abuse you.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
What about Lord Alfred Hayes?
Oh, he was a joy. he was a joy to work with, and Roger Kirby. Both of them are fantastic. Them together, and they wore their pink outfits. My God, the people and then Kirby, I do stuff and everything. I want to say, we come up with an idea where I slide between his legs. He never laughed so hard in his whole life. And then he'd take the back bump, and I'd pin him 1, 2, 3. It just perfect though. Perfect.
I know. Kirby was a favorite of Harley's. He liked working with Roger.
Yeah. Roger went down to Florida too when I left, and up here, and Omar did. Omar and me worked down there in Tampa. I don't know how many times in a row against Kirby and God. There we go. There goes the mind again. Don't get old. He ended up being what do you want to call manager for the Four Horsemen.
Oh, J.J. Dillon.
Yeah, J.J. Dillon. Yeah, they were tagged up together, and we worked with them. I don't know how many times in Tampa. Have great matches down there in that hot old building, the Armory. Oh my, yeah. Then all of a sudden we were down in I forget where we went after that. The next town. So I mean, after we finished up there for a while, and then not long after that, basically, I was there like 5 or 6 months or something like that, and then come back home.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that people saw most of JJ's career as a manager, and there's just not a lot of videotape out there of him. But in the 70s, man, he could work, huh?
Oh yes, oh yeah. We had great matches. I mean, yeah, with Omar and me. My God, Omar was just boom, 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 boom. It was hard to stop him. Kirby just having a hell time. Yeah.
There's another guy who's he's been in the business 30 days, and he's working in Kansas City here in May of 75, and he goes on to be known as the Body, Jesse Ventura.
Oh yeah, I came back to the territory, and Jesse was here, and it seemed like he rode with me up to Des Moines, and then he went home. he said, "I'm leaving." I just couldn't. He rode me up, and then he left.
Yeah. Jerry said that he was broke, all the time, and he rode with them a lot and all, but he had a rough start in the business. He had a rough start in the business, but he said he was a nice guy.
Nice guy. Oh yeah. Yeah. I met him again out there, and with Jerry was out there too in Oregon, out there in Portland.
That's when Jesse kind of broke through, right?
Yeah. He could talk. Mm-hmm. He could just rattle, and him and Ed were together out there a lot, and they just have a great time. The best time is out there. I know Jerry told about a story about we come back on the trips, and there were Khosrow Faseri, the Sheik. He'd be, parked his car and rode with somebody, and he wouldn't lock it. Well, they open his car up, take beer, and pour it in his seat, so he'd have to sit there and that thing sit up all the way edge of it and drive home at night. They used to do that to him. Nobody really liked him. It was great, but he was a good guy, really deep down. Khosrow. I remember when I first started down there, and when I saw him in Louisiana, he'd come in. He left the Gagne up there and came down, was working down there, and we'd look at him and just and he'd show up at towns that he wasn't booked, but he'd show up trying to get booked.
Yeah.
And but he had his clubs. I managed the clubs, but not too good. But I tried. I did it. Yeah. Jerry do things with me. He abused me times. Jerry Oates. Yeah. One time we did an interview on Shreveport TV, and we're talking about they wanted to say, how you guys work out, and we did a few things in the ring. Jerry said, down like I'm going to do a push-up. I sat on my back, so I had to do push-ups. I had to prove that I could do it. He told me, he says, I would have never done that. He said, I couldn't do it. But I was pretty strong. I had my, just natural. But I was doing push-ups with him on my back. I remember that one well.
Toward the end of May the 26th in 75 in Wichita, Kansas, you've got a match for the international heavyweight title, and the champion is Cyclone Negro. You remember Cyclone?
Yes, but I don't remember the match. I remember Cyclone, but I don't remember him there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went around when he won that international title. He went around and traveled with it to several territories, and he was in Kansas City here for, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah, I met him again. They basically down in Florida again. That's when, after I left down there, Omar and him were tagged up together down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the
I've had
schedule,
flashbacks to different things right there in my mind.
Yeah, that's all right. So the schedule is, Mondays is either Wichita or Topeka. You kind of rotate every other Monday.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Tuesday night, you mentioned Sedalia a couple times. Tuesday was Sedalia.
Yeah, Dane Littlebeard told Gus, he says, "I like to buy this town." Gus says, "Good. You want to book this town or anything else?" He says, "No, I want to close this blank down."
Oh,
he was serious. No, it was in a town. You got your experience, and people didn't care what you were doing. They were just like there for family night.
Yeah.
And Gus, that was one of Gus's towns in Missouri. He did Columbia too. Was one of them I think Gus had, and Waterloo and Des Moines and St. Joe and stuff. He'd do the Cedar Rapids too. Was one of the towns up there.
Yeah, you guys ran the convention hall there in Sedalia every Tuesday.
Oh yeah, do our TV interview. We do our radio interviews for almost 2 hours. We go to this place, radio station. We do interviews there. They have us all there. We have to be there about 3 hours early to do that. Oh yeah, everybody hated that with a passion.
Then Thursday nights were Kansas City, and Friday nights were St. Joe. Saturday was Waterloo, Quincy, Fort Scott, those kind of towns.
Yeah, we used to call Geigel's some of his towns. We'd go on safari out there, way out there. Goodland, Kansas, Kobe, Kansas.
Oh,
they were good towns, but way out there. They were an experience. That they were different type people. They didn't see a lot. They may have seen wrestling, but not much of it though.
I've been to Goodland, Kansas. It's out there on the border, man.
Oh yeah, we had some long trips.
It's out there close to Garden City and all that.
Oh yeah, that's when and Dodge City we go there too, and oh yeah.
Goodland, Kansas is right on the time border. Like if you go to one end of the town, you're in one time zone. You go into the other, you lose an hour on the other end of town.
Oh my. That was a long trip, but it was still enjoyable. Even I remember making one trip back. We had to catch a ride with Lord Alfred Hayes. He'd just drive 55 mile an hour, and we would drove back into Kansas City. But he'd tell stories how we should talk, how we should improve things, and everything else. He was very knowledgeable. Yeah, he was fun. He could tell all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, guys talk all the time about how that's one big thing that's lost in the business today is the car rides and the education that you'd get from the vets in the cars,
Yeah, you learn a lot of things. Yeah, I can't remember who it was, Brunzell and me coming back out of Wichita. Geigel was with Brown, and Brown put the flashing light up on his dash and come up behind me. Oh my God! I thought we got pulled over by the police. Then it was him. They pulled up beside it, and just laughed, and they drove off.
What'd you think about Wichita as a town, wrestling town?
I think it could have been a better town. I really do, because it had its potential. We'd see the people were great there. I mean, they were easy, and they enjoyed the matches, and they were fun to get behind you. We had matches with Kirby in there and Alfred Hayes, and my God, they were great. I remember just I just wish it got a better push.
Mm-hmm.
Just wish it got a better push.
Yeah, the Century 2 Auditorium was the building.
Oh,
there.
yeah, it's quite a building.
Yeah, really nice. I've driven by it several times.
Yeah.
But I mean, Topeka always struggled, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I had the time. I turned heel against Bob Brown there. And I had Bob Brown on the floor right there. That teach me to do this. And as I'm pounding on Brown, some guy might come up beside me and hit me right in the mouth. I turned around and grabbed my hands into the guy. He had a wig on, or an afro like, and I stuck my hands in it, twisted that hair, and I was trying to knee him. After he hit me in the mouth, busted my partial plate up and everything else.
Mm.
And the police right there says, if you hit him, you nail him. He says, you will never wrestle in Topeka again. Boy, I was trying to nail him. But I got to wrestle in Topeka a couple of times. That's something like that happened in Columbia, Missouri, too, just like that.
At the Armory?
Yeah. That was a hard
good
town, too, though. That was a hard town.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about. You would think a Midwest or a Southern college town would draw, but they all have trouble drawing for wrestling.
Yeah, it's just the people didn't want to get behind, but some did, but some didn't. They were hard. I mean, they were a hard group of people. I used to say I used to go wrestle different places and come back, save up money to come back home. Back here, because you didn't make a lot of money around here. It was hard.
Yeah,
it was hard.
But you guys drew okay in the 70s, right? I mean,
yeah, they had some good houses, but no great ones. I mean, there was no outstanding deal, but for what there was, and it's just getting, things are starting to just change. Like Harley told me one time, he says, if you had just been 5 years earlier in your life, he says, you would have been just like him, he says. I said, I appreciate that, but he was right, because things changed about that time.
Yeah. Did he ever talk about how Missouri and Kansas drew in the 60s?
No, he never did, really.
I wonder, because in the South, and you've been to Georgia, you've been to Florida, you've been to Louisiana, and you've been to Alabama. I mean, those territories drew really, really well all through the 60s, the 70s, and even into the 80s.
Yeah, they were great.
But outside of St. Louis and Missouri, it struggled.
Yeah, now you go down to Springfield. Springfield would draw. Springfield was a good town, but it's just like a dividing line somewhere in there, because Springfield was basically, that was
with Leroy McGurk.
Leroy's town, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Geigel went and took it back over again, but we drew money down there. We had great houses. You had to watch your car out there. People demolish it.
When you worked for Leroy and Watts, did you work in Joplin?
Oh yes, that was a hard town too, though.
Was it?
It was a hard town. Just something about it. I don't know what it was, but it was just.
And it's further south than Springfield.
Yeah. Springfield had a different type of clientele, you might say, just different. Yeah, you got the people that wanted to believe, and you got the people. There was no way in the world you're going to get them to go. Yeah,
they were just going to be skeptical.
I was always taught, you make them believe, you make things real. You may get in trouble for it by the other guy you're working with, but you got to make sure that people don't see through stuff. And that's what I used to do with Ted DiBiase. I had him on the floor one time down in Louisiana down there. I'd nail him, boy. We're on the floor. Boom, boom, boom. But that was the way I was taught. Yeah. They saw through my stuff. They weren't going to. I'll tell you that for sure, because I was stiff.
Well,
that's the best word to put it. I was stiff, and I enjoyed it that way. And I wanted to be treated the same way, because when I worked with Harley, he was stiff, and he'd say, hit me harder. okay. No problem.
The promoter and the booker didn't want you to kill the town.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And I remember when I went to Louisiana the first time, if you didn't know how to wrestle, you were in deep trouble. Because that was the thing they always, when I left Florida and went up there, they said, you better know how to do. I said, well, I do. I've got the background. I can do it. Mm-hmm. And no problem. They treated me like I was a new star. I was coming.
Yeah, it seemed like that seemed like one thing that really helped guys too, that they didn't have an outrageous gimmick. They had to be good wrestlers. They had to have a good, strong background in wrestling, and those that did really well.
Oh yeah, yeah. Another one I was going to tell you a story about. Big Texan. He died young. Over Amarillo too. Dick Murdoch.
Yeah, Dick.
Oh, funny guy. I made trips with him, and I wrestled him couple times, but the one time in Jackson, Mississippi, I'm the heel and he's the good guy. And all of a sudden, I got out of the ring and I was kind of close to the edge of the railing, and this old man came up and hit me once. I just looked at him. I said, "Go sit down." And I turned around and he hit me again. I just looked around at me and I said, "Go sit down before you get hurt."
Oh, boy.
And then he hit me again. I was over the railing, had him by the throat, down on top of his chair, and I said, "You're going to die." The police got there and they hauled the guy out, and Murdoch's hollering at me, "Get back in the ring. Get back in the ring." Yeah, but I couldn't help it. The guy made me snap.
Yeah. Well, I bet the rest of the crowd backed up, too.
Oh, they enjoyed it. Oh, yeah. And then Murdoch beat me up pretty good. But I enjoyed it. Murdoch was great to work with, too.
Yeah, he could work.
Oh, yeah. You can ask Jerry about him and Murdoch and Keel Carl Cox had a match. I think he said he saw it. They had a cattle prod match.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to seen that one. In Jackson, no, it was in, not Jackson, Mississippi, but the one before, as you were coming, first time you come across the river right there, going toward Jackson. Yeah. Civil War was a big deal right there.
Greenville? Or
No, right
Hattiesburg?
That's too far. That's not a little farther. No, this is just as you crossed getting into Mississippi. There was the town on top of the bluff. Well, that's the town where I think he had that match at. And I would have gave anything.
I got it. Vicksburg,
Mississippi. That's right. I would have gave anything to seen that match. And with Cox, oh my God, he do some stuff that you just wouldn't believe, but you believed. I mean, he did.
I wonder if they had batteries in the cattle prods.
Oh yes, they did. Oh yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was a real shoot. I'd love to have seen it. I heard stories. Jerry told me stories about it. I said, I wish I'd seen that one. I wish.
Murdoch loved Cox, man. He
oh yeah.
He really worked. He worked like him. Brainbuster was Carl Cox's move.
Yeah. They did so good together. They just like. I enjoyed watching them. I watched all the matches. I always did, to see what they did and what they didn't, and how people recepted it, and how they, if they didn't, I didn't want to do that again.
Well, that's how you learn. That's how you learn.
That's how we learned back then. We watched them. That was what I was told. That's what I was told in Florida when I started watching the matches. That's where you're going to learn.
You remember Magnificent Zulu?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You had some matches with him in '75, and
he didn't know what a shower was. Let's put it that way.
Oh no,
Oh yeah. Impressive. Not as impressive as Mr. USA
Tony Atlas. Yeah.
Not as, but he was impressive. Yeah.
When did you guys do your television in Kansas City?
We did it on Saturday morning. After we'd come in there about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, down there on Channel 41. Yeah. That was early for it.
Did you do television in St. Joe also?
On a Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did television in Kansas City on Saturday morning?
Yeah, back then. Then we switched over to the live shows. They do them at the arena.
I see.
I was on a Thursday. They do those, though, but not all. They do park shows and stuff on it. But the TV, when we first started, it was in the mornings at Channel 41 down in Kansas City, Missouri, right there. Channel wherever 41 was.
So you wrapped up in the Kansas City territory on June the 27th, and you had a match against the guy we talked about, Akio Sato, and you guys went 15 minutes to a time limit draw. And then y'all had a battle royal in the main event that Akio Sato won.
Yeah.
And then that was the 27th, and on the 30th, 3 days later, you show up in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Long trip.
Yep. Yeah, you
me and the van and the wife and kids.
you didn't take long in getting there.
No. Saw my sister in Chattanooga, Tennessee there, and spent the day there and drove the rest of the way. Boy, that was rough.
Yeah, Monday night, Florida had two towns, West Palm Beach and Orlando, and you worked West Palm Beach. And then the next night, you were in Tampa, and you were working against the guy that we just talked about, J.J. Dillon.
J.J. Dillon, yeah. He's still alive, isn't he?
And you went, I just talked to him not long ago. I interviewed him for,
good.
I talked to him not long ago.
He tried to get me to go back down to Atlanta to work with, I don't know who it was, but I said, no, I'm staying up in St. Joe. Shame on me. But I left down there in Atlanta when my, I went down there. That's when I left Louisiana. I went there, and then they had me as a special referee, and then I was just had a deal on TV with Ole saying I was behind him. I'd watch his back, and about a day later, my wife's mother had a stroke, and I flew her home. And then basically I was there by myself, and me and the dog weren't getting along too well. And I told her, I called her up, and I told her, just come on back down. We'll move back up to St. Joe. Yeah, I was getting the chance to go down there, and I had the chance, and I was getting the push, and I might say the family became more important.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Yeah, that was the thing that changed my whole life in the wrestling right there. Right then, it changed my chance to being farther up than I got.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad I did go. Go back.
Yeah, so that was July the 1st, 1975, and we'll come back and do another show and go through the second half when you're in Florida here. But you pinned JJ that night at Fort Homer Hesterly Armory in Tampa, Florida.
No kidding.
Sure?
I was getting the push.
He put you over.
Yeah.
And I think he had just been or maybe it was a non-title match, but he was the Florida television champion too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He might have lost it before then, but
yeah.
But it's still, he was a star, JJ.
Yeah, they were giving me a shot.
Yeah,
and I stayed there for a while. I should have stayed there. I shouldn't have said I'd come back when Gus called me. But that was another thing.
You beat JJ that night. Then the next night, Wednesday night, Miami Beach, you beat Kirby.
That's when the thing started. Yeah, had them together, and Omar was down there then. Yeah.
Then you went to a double disqualification for the Southern heavyweight title with Killer Carl Krupp.
Oh, he was something else to work with.
Killer Carl. You know what? He is. I don't know anything about how he was to work with. You're about to tell me, but just as far as the way a heel should look, I just love the way he looked, man.
Oh yeah, he's put the fear of God in you, really. Listen, but a nice guy, but you sure can tell by the way first night I worked with him in Kansas City up here, all of a sudden I got my back turned and he hit me with a 2x4. Boom, that was the match. It was over. Knocked me right out.
He wasn't German, but he played a German, but he looked just evil, man. He just looked evil.
Yeah, he was perfect. Yeah. He was down there in Louisiana. He'd come back with Grizzly Smith in a car and something, and I can't remember who it was. Stopped the car, he got out of the car, and he walked into Shreveport. It was about 50 or 60 miles out of town. He pissed everybody off. Sorry my language, but they made him walk. He was something else. He was something else, though.
Well, we covered a lot of ground tonight, man.
No, it's all of it's true too.
we covered a lot of ground. 6 months in Kansas City there, and tagging up with Jerry Oates. What's your favorite memory of working with Jerry?
Oh, I had times with him. I think when I was the heel and he was the babyface down in Shreveport, Louisiana. I had a match with him. In New Orleans, we had a match down there too. I enjoyed working with him because I knew what he thought about me. I had to prove that I come a long ways.
From all I can tell, I mean, Bill Watts really loved him. Like really liked having him as a babyface.
Yeah, he did. He'd bring him back in, come in. He'd fly in to work with certain people and stuff back there in Shreveport and other towns too. He's come back and do stuff. Oh yeah. Well, Jerry was good for down there.
Well, I'll give you a little opportunity to rest up a little bit, and I'll get you back on here in a little while, a month or so, and we'll do the second half of 75.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Mike, you've been more than generous with your time. I appreciate you spending this time with me tonight.
A lot of people don't really know about that time in my life or anything, but I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed the fans. Yeah, they were good to me.
Mike George, everybody, and we'll have Mike back on here in a future show. Mike, thank you. I appreciate you, man. Have a nice night.
You too. Take care of yourself.
Hey, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Mike George. I know I did. Mike's a fantastic fella, and I've got some things in mind for Jerry and Mike together that I hope that we can do down the road that might be fun. They are former World Tag Team Champions for the National Wrestling Alliance in the Central States Territory. And, I talked to Jerry in the first half of our show today. I talked to Mike in the second half. One of these days, I'm going to get those guys together, and the three of us, especially the two of them, that would be a fantastic show, and we're going to work on getting that done. So a couple of things we got coming up here. We've got Terry Sullivan, who's going to be coming up here on the show, and we're going to be talking about 1975 in Detroit. And that's going to be a fascinating conversation because Terry had gone over to the opposition to the Sheik and was working over there in 1975. There was a fella who's kind of connected to the Dory Funk Sr. work that I'm working on, the Dory Funk Sr. book. There's a character from that whole story in Amarillo that's a part of breaking away and starting a promotion to run against the Sheik in Detroit. Terry Sullivan had been part of the Sheik's territory, and he went over to work opposition. So that's going to be a great conversation. He's going to be coming up. I also have Dave Dynasty. Dave Dynasty has his own podcast, and he primarily focuses on the Dick the Bruiser promotion, the WWA in Indianapolis. And we just lost the great Wojo, Greg Wojciechowski, who was a performer there in the WWA in the 80s and toward the end of the 80s. And we just lost Greg. He's a Hall of Famer, both amateur and pro. And I want to talk to Dave about the impact of the great Wojo, and that's coming up on our show here very, very soon. Thank you. I appreciate you very, very much for listening and watching and sending the great feedback. We got all our regular guests that are coming back pretty soon. We're going to have the fantastic Howard Baum on the show, and we're going to talk about Florida in 1975. We got Steve Gennarelli coming back. He's going to be talking about the WWF in the fall of 75 and a whole bunch of other stuff right here on the Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel podcast. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I'll see you back here again next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel podcast. Tune in for another great episode next week, interviewing wrestlers, referees, and media personalities that have made the sport of professional wrestling great. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel. We'll release a new episode soon. Don't you dare miss it.